The following is a Papi Chulo Radio original program. The views and opinions expressed in the commentaries and/or interviews in the following program are solely those of the individuals and are not views of Papi Chulo Radio, its parent, affiliate, or subsidiary companies.
Welcome to Are You Afraid? Scream Queens, the unofficial Scream Queens internet radio show exclusively on PapiChuloRadio.com. Papi Chulo Radio, pop culture on demand. Today is Wednesday, November 23rd, 2016, and I'm your host, Jeffrey Aruz. During tonight's broadcast, we're going to recap, review, and dissect the latest episode of Fox's Scream Queens. Please welcome my co-hosts, Priscilla Rocha.
Hey guys, what's up?
And Prince Rico Suave.
What's poppin', y'all?
We got P Squared with me tonight, listeners.
P Squared, the OGs, we back.
Nice.
Yes, I like it. So let's jump into our recap of Season 2, Episode 6, titled Blood Drive, and aired November 22nd, 2016. Here's the official synopsis of the episode. At a meeting with the Cure staff, Nurse Hoffel announces that the hospital is running a blood drive competition, and the winner gets an all-expense-paid holiday, which Chanel is determined to win, and she hosts her personal blood drive by collecting samples from the Chanels. However, Munch discovers that Chanel is diagnosed with a sexually transmitted disease, actually all of them, which causes Holt to reconsider his relationship with her. Meanwhile, Zayday and Chamberlain team up to get a sample from Jane to discover her baby and the possible green meanie. Realizing that she may not win, Chanel drops in on a mobile blood drive. Later on, though, she notices that the bags are missing and have been stolen by Hester, who uses it to cure a patient. However, though, while giving blood, Chanel number 9 is attacked by the Green Meanie, who is confronted by Nurse Hoffel, and the killer is unmasked and revealed to be Cassidy Cascade. It is revealed that Hoffel is the sister of the deceased Agatha Bean, the maid who was killed by Chanel in a prank gone wrong during the Wallace University murders, and has been plotting revenge. Hoffel joins forces with Cassidy, becoming the third Green Meanie and the brains of the operation. Meanwhile, Chanel wins the competition. So I want to get everyone's initial reaction to this episode, and we'll start off with P number 1, Priscilla.
Holy shit, I take back everything I said about last episode, about like it kind of going into like filler. This episode made me crack up out loud, like while watching it on my laptop screen, like multiple times, like, and loud. Oh my god, I still get flashbacks to that scene where Chanel is running like towards Dean Munch with that like dramatic music in the background. It gave me life. I loved this episode.
Nice. Prince, what about you? You're P number 2, just in case if you didn't know.
I'm gonna go with Priscilla. Wait, I should be P1. Okay, that's neither for now or later. That's
Oh
later.
shit, he's trying to take your spot, Priscilla.
the P. But
Oh,
how I'm with Priscilla. Like the puns on this episode were like incredibly hilarious. Even like the new like Chanels that you have are kind of like showing their personalities. Like you're starting to figure out which ones are like 3 and which ones are like 5 and which ones are like friggin' regular Chanel. So I'm starting to like that too. And I think the only thing I probably could have did a little bit better for this episode that would have like put it over the top for me is like maybe 1 or 2 more bodies. But with all the revelations that they gave us, I kind of feel like that makes up for the bodies.
Okay. I liked the episode a lot. I agree with Priscilla. There were so many laugh out loud moments, so many great put downs, and so many just great one liners. This was a fantastic episode with one liners, and it was just hilarious to see, hilarious to watch. And I mean, it was just so much fun. And the reveals were fantastic, in my opinion. It confirmed a lot of what we were very suspicious about. We even foreshadowed something, which I think is kind of awesome, because something that we predicted or that we thought was happening didn't officially happen until this episode, which was pretty cool to see. So before we get into our thorough recap of the latest episode of Scream Queens, here's our announcer with a few reminders on how you can interact with us.
Follow Poppy Chulo Radio on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Poppy Chulo Radio. Do you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns? Email us via contact@poppychuloradio.com. Are you interested in joining the Poppy Chulo Radio team as an on-air personality? Email talent@poppychuloradio.com. Binge listen to your favorite Poppy Chulo Radio programs by visiting poppychuloradio.com/archives. You can also download tonight's broadcast and the rest of the series through iTunes. Just search for Are You Afraid? Scream Queens, and subscribe.
Thanks, announcer. So let's get into it. I'm going to try to break this episode down by storyline. So we're going to cover everything, but we'll focus on what some of the characters are going through. And I think we'll start off with the shortest storyline of the episode, and it had to deal with Hester. So Hester pops up on the screen in the middle of the night with a knife in hand, stalking or creepily standing, there you go, over Chanel's bed, scaring her, and we learn that Hester is bored, and when she's bored, she starts thinking about killing people, and if she stays bored, she's going to end up killing someone in that apartment. So Chanel ends up confessing to Munch about harboring Hester in the apartment as protection against the Green Meanie, and to see if she can fill them in on clues as to who the Green Meanie is. And so, after telling Munch about it, and after convincing her to not tell the feds because Hester could kill them, and also Hester being alive would tie back to Denise, and Denise is quote-unquote dead, or at least she thinks she's dead. She doesn't know that she's been cryogenically frozen. So all of that would lead to eyes on the hospital and this, that, or the other. So Munch agrees to put Hester to use. And to use, that is to basically be one of the Chanels in that, diagnosing patients and figuring out the cure for incurable diseases. And her patient is a young man who believes he's a vampire. His skin is sensitive to sunlight. He starts to blister up. He's got those vampiric fangs. He has an aversion to garlic, and he loves to drink blood. But don't worry, he's not killing people. He's got a hookup over at what was it, the Red Cross or something like that?
The Red Cross.
Yeah, it was the Red Cross.
Yeah, and so Hester is supposed to find a cure for him within a week, and if she doesn't, she gets sent back into her cage. So after doing some research and whatnot, she figures out why he has the aversion to like the sunlight and the garlic and the fangs. I mean, there's a hilarious scene where he tried to sneak up on her and bite her in the neck, but she like punches him in the crotch and knocks him down, which was fantastic. But she realizes that the whole wanting to drink blood thing might be like an experience that she had as a child. She loved ringdings. She used to eat ringdings all the damn time. But what was it? Her aunt told her that she couldn't have the ringdings,
aunt.
and
Yeah,
so
her crazy aunt said she couldn't have the ring.
yeah, and so she started to feed her all these ringdings and like for weeks until she was sick of the ringdings. So that's what she decided to do with him with blood. And so he starts drinking all the blood, and he's like, "You need some more blood." So she ends up getting more blood. She ends up stealing some more blood, and she makes the blood into like blood sausage and blood pies and blood this, that, or the other. And it turns out that she was right, and she ended up curing him of his thirst for blood. So that was Hester's storyline. What do we think of Hester?
While giving him STDs. Let's not.
Well, we don't know. She tested the blood, but
Yeah, she tested the blood and Chanel came out like clean.
yes. So we'll talk about Chanel and her STDs in a moment. But focusing on Hester, what did we think of Hester's storyline? And she was basically the case of the week storyline. Did we like Vampire Boy?
I like how they differentiate her from the Chanel's by giving her the purple nurse's outfit. It's super cute. And holy crap, like I thought that this show was gonna like have like a hole in like not acting per se, but like in writing, because it didn't have like such magnetic characters like Chad or Niecy Nash's character, like to kind
Denise
of
Hemphill.
get in the swing of things. But Hester totally filled up that spot. Like, she was funny as hell. Like, the line that still kind of sticks with me is when she's staring at the guy and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a social pariah now." She's just kind of like, "You're a pale dude who can't even eat ethnic food on a date. You're already a social pariah without the STDs."
Oh no!
She's
See,
just
my favorite
so
part.
blunt.
My favorite part was when she was like, "They're like, what? I'm Donna Summers," and I'm like, "Really? No one questioned
Oh,
that?"
the Donna Summer thing was amazing. She was
Yeah.
like, and this is Donna Summer.
right? Like, she's like, she's like Donna Summers, like with ease. Like she knew this was gonna be like her alias name.
Yes, that was fantastic.
But I did like Hester. I'm like, if you notice, Hester's dramatically changed completely, just within the sense of like, she's more of a tough badass now. Like she puts that badass vibe in the air more than like pretending to be the scared victim. Like she has
Well, she puts the tough badass vibe in there, but she's also very unhinged.
that too.
In a good way,
Confidence
though.
level has dramatically like raised.
I think she has that same like sort of like badass vibe that she had in the finale of season 1, where she kind of like laid out exactly why she was the killer and why she didn't give a shit. And we haven't seen that in Hester. All we've seen is Hannibal Hester. This was gold.
Yes. Like this kind of like branched her off of like Hannibal Hester.
Yeah. Although I love Hannibal Hester.
Of course you did. You titled her Hannibal Hester.
Yes. She was good. I like it. But I'm glad that they sort of unleashed her into the hospital. It's still ridiculously unbelievable that she would be working at the hospital. But it is hilarious. Like I like it. It's spectacular. Like I love that they found a way to just like make it make sense in this Scream Queens bizarro universe that she could be working in the hospital like treating patients. Like I loved the scene where she was like looking for blood and she was like looking around. She was like, "Oh my god, like all these patients, like I could kill all these people and I can get their blood." But then she's like, "No, you can't kill. You cannot kill." Like I was like, that was just fantastic. It was good.
I loved Hester, but I think what I liked most about her is that she had to kind of stay on a leash. Like I think writing is better when you don't like just have the character doing whatever the hell you want, because then you like have them doing like really lame things. Sometimes when you have to like keep a character in a box is when you get most creative with them. And I feel like making her not able to kill made them kind of make her funnier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. They neutered her a bit, which was good, because like you can't have her just killing people. So it was great that they gave her almost like a bit of a moral compass, or at least ground rules. Like,
I don't know whether this is like foreshadowing or anything like that. So like we can just put a pause in this if we're gonna talk about this at the end of the episode. But if Ivanka Trump was Hester, right?
yes.
Okay, good. I just wanted to check that off.
Oh, sounds like foreshadowing for what Priscilla's going to discuss at the end of the episode. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. Okay, so let's move into the next, I guess, short storyline. But I guess even though I mentioned it in the synopsis, I'll set this up because it sort of leads us into this next small storyline. At the very start of the episode, Nurse Hoffel creates this competition. It's a blood drive because the hospital needs blood. They had been, apparently Chanel number 3 had been mopping up all of the blood from the Green Meanie kills and putting them in blood bags. And unfortunately, she was also picking up like rats and coins and this, that, or the other. So like the blood is obviously contaminated. They can't use that blood, so there's a blood shortage. So they need blood. And so they end up creating a blood drive, and Hoffel ends up turning it into a competition. The winner of the blood drive is going to get an all expenses paid trip to the island appropriately called Blood Island. And so everyone is competing for the Blood Island prize. So, moving into, I guess, the episode's second shortest storyline, let's catch up with Zayde. So, Zayde has been avoiding Chamberlain because she feels that Chamberlain is the baby in the belly. Because it's no longer the baby in the tub, it's the baby in the belly this season. And, she ends up using the blood drive as a ruse to get to Jane again. And she's trying to get Jane's blood because she's come up with a plan, because if she can get Jane's blood, then she can compare it to the hospital records of her husband's blood, and then she can figure out, okay, at least, come down with like a shorter list of like who the baby in the belly could be, aka who she feels the Green Meanie could be. And so after visiting Jane and making up a lie that she's delivering all these flyers to different houses for the blood drive, she tries to convince Jane to donate blood. And she even saying, she can come to her house and do it, so she doesn't have to go to the hospital. Kind of like Domino's. But then Jane is like, that's not really like Domino's. Domino's brings you pizza. You want to take my blood. And then she ends up freaking out and saying, that hospital's evil. I'm never stepping foot into it. And, they should shut it down and all this kind of stuff. So back at the hospital, Chamberlain, approaches Zayde and is basically like, why are you avoiding me? You think that I'm the baby in the belly and this, that, or the other. And he basically knows everything that Zayde's trying to do. And he's like, that was my idea too. And Zayde's like, you know what? I want to trust you. I want to be your friend. But I feel like you're the baby in the belly. And if I knew your blood type and could compare it, then I'd know if I could trust you. So we end up seeing Chamberlain getting a sample from Jane after giving her a worm pie and using her spit and coming up with her blood type and then comparing it with his blood type. He could not be the baby in the belly. So
oh my god,
yeah.
That freaking worm pie. This is good. What is it? Worms? It's worm pie. Like the way he fucking just set the line. Like Chamberlain, since his like one-liner in episode 1 of this season has been amazing. Oh my god! Like he takes what little like material they give him and just spins it in a really awesome way. Him and Zayde like have great scene chemistry. I don't necessarily see them as romantic partners, but they're really good like gumshoes together.
They really are. Yeah. And so we'll leave that storyline there because obviously there's the big reveal. So we'll discuss that a little bit later. But what did we think of Zayde and Chamberlain together? And separately, you know, searching for clues as to who the Green Meanie and the baby in the belly could be.
Still don't trust Chamberlain. He knows everything, which, you know, is very alarming
Mm-hmm.
for someone who shouldn't know everything, in a sense. So, like, I feel like, in a sense, like, he just did what he did to cover his tracks. Like, just because you told me your blood level, your blood type is this, doesn't mean it is. Like, I didn't test it myself. So, right now I'm going on based off of hearsays. But I do like their chemistry, and I will admit I did love that, you know, Zayde's like new version of Grace is like Chanel number 5.
Yeah, I love their chemistry together. They're just so weird together. It doesn't
like,
make sense, but yet it makes perfect
be friends.
sense.
Exactly.
Zayde's
Absolutely.
like
That's how I looked at it.
Zayde's trying to be nice to her, but nobody can be nice to Chanel number 5. They treated her like, I don't know, like a strawberry to be squeezed for as
Yeah,
much
real
juice
talk, 'cause
as,
I'm like-
as they can get.
Real talk, because she was like still trying to get Zayde was still trying to get Chanel number 5's blood, and she was like, the dude comes by and is like, cookie, and she like closed the door on her, and I'm like, oh my god, like this is Zayde. Zayde's normally like the nice person.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that because she was giving blood and she's like, I think I need a cookie. And they're like, no, you don't need a cookie. Like, let's just get some more blood.
And I'm like, that's not normally something Zayde says. Zayde's more like, oh, more compassionate. Like, yeah, let me get you a cookie. She was like, yeah, no, let me close the door.
She was about
'cause
that
you don't need this
business.
cookie. Right? She was like, shut up and give me your arm. Like, we're not done here.
Yeah.
I'm a doctor. I know how much blood I can take from you.
Yeah, there was another line that Chanel number 5 said during one of their conversations where she was like, we're doing this again, like 2 weeks in a row or something like that. Like they're sort of like banter. It was funny. I can't remember exactly what she said, but when she said it, I was like, I love meta jokes.
I think it's like one of my favorite scenes between like Zayde and Chanel number 5 is when she's just like so fucking tired of this shit. And she's just like, I can't give any more blood. And Zayde just kind of looks at her and doesn't give a shit. Like, oh, that whole scene. Chanel's little pathetic noise when like things don't go her way,
Yes.
which is all the time.
Yeah.
But I think that's why
I love that
Zayde
noise.
I think that's why Zayde gravitates towards like Chanel number 5, because she's just as like lame and pathetic as Grace was.
Ooh, damn. No, I like seeing Chanel number 5 on my screen, unlike Grace, who I was just bored with. all
Oh,
the
definitely. I like to see Chanel number 5 way better than seeing freaking Grace on my screen. But I'm like, I feel like that's the similarities that makes her be like, you know what? She potentially could be my new best friend, because she's just as pathetic as my old best friend.
Zayde's really good with her with her screen partners. But I'm just gonna say about like Chamberlain, her other guy, I'm really TV stupid when people like put like a plan or a scheme in motion. Like I can't think like 2 or 3 like episodes in advance and figure out what it is. I totally am gullible and go along with what the writers like want the audience to believe. So when Chamberlain kind of went up to her and was like, I can't believe you don't trust me. Here are all the reasons why like you should, and here's like me trying to figure out like what the mom's blood type is and what the dad's blood type is for you. And I've been strangely like, no, Chamberlain's weird. I can't trust him. And this one episode I was just kind of like, aw, Chamberlain, okay, I trust you now.
Oh
See,
gosh.
no, you're right in that sense. That's that gullibility. Because I'm like, I saw the complete opposite. I'm like, I saw him like covering up his tracks the best he could because Zayde's the closest to figuring out the Green Meanie.
Mhm.
And I think possibly he might be the other Green Meanie, and he thought that she might be on his tail and not our reveal.
Mhm. Interesting.
Like, because you know he knows everything, right? So maybe he thought she was close and thought it was close on his tail, not the other Green Meanie's tail. And so he was like, "Oh shit, I gotta get her off my tracks."
Mm-hmm.
Well, nobody tested his blood. He just said he was AB, and everybody just went with it.
And no one tested him. And I'm like, and then he's gotten his job by just walking in and just rolling his cart around. Like, there's a lot of like red flags that like doesn't take my like eyesight off of him. Like, you're not off my radar yet. Like Britney Spears said, "Bitch, you on my radar. It's Britney."
Okay, that's interesting. Let's get into one of the reveals of the episode. At the very start of the episode, we usually get lots of like epic in your head monologues from the characters, and this one was revelatory. So we learn a lot about Ingrid Marie Hoffel, or shall I say Ingrid Marie Bean. We learn that Nurse Hoffel is her married name. Her husband died of cancer. She thinks they weren't close. And her maiden name is Bean. So Mrs. Bean from season 1, what would we call her? The cook, the housekeeper, the maid of Kappa Kappa Tau, the ones that the Chanels in a prank gone wrong, which actually, to be quite honest, it was the Red Devil's fault that Ms. Bean's face burnt off, because the Red Devil turned the deep fryer on. But anyway, Ms. Bean's face turned into crispy tortillas, and she died. And so Nurse Hoffel blames the Chanels, and she's been following everything that has been going on with the Chanels ever since they were released from the asylum. And when she found out that they were hired to work at the hospital, she pitched herself to Munch as an administrator, and she's ready to play the long game for revenge. But she explains, you may suspect that I'm the Green Meanie, but she actually hasn't killed anyone yet. So we learn that Hoffel's reason for this competition is in fact that Blood Island is not really a paradise. It's filled with parasitic creatures and whatnot, and she hopes basically that the Chanels will die on Blood Island. So her goal is to make Chanel and the other two Chanels become the winners, and to send them all to Blood Island, and that's how she will get her revenge. So what did we think of the reveal of Nurse Hoffel being related to a season 1 character? And of course this explains her vendetta against the Chanels, which she always sort of kind of had, but I guess we all assumed that it was because the Chanels aren't medical professionals, and she was pissed that they were being treated as medical professionals, but in fact there's now a hidden reason why she hates the Chanels. Did we like the reveal? The twist?
I did. I love that it was like right off the bat.
That was a great twist.
Right? I loved it. I didn't see it coming.
Me neither. I fucking love that she's like, my maiden name was Bean. I married a guy named Hoffel, but he died. I don't know why. We weren't really that close. Oh, fucking God. She's... Kirstie Alley, you're a treasure. Like, you can run like lines like that with aplomb, like, and it just sounds right. Her being related to Miss Bean and just be like, yeah, I was related to her, but obviously I got like the brains and the smarts of the family. It just made me feel like shit. You're shitting on Miss Bean even when she's dead already. It's perfect.
Like she's the Chanel Fox of the family.
Mm-hmm. She's the link to season 1. Besides, like,
I did like that. I thought like our only tie to season 1 was gonna be our remaining survivors, but I liked that they made the story deeper, and they're like, well, one of the characters you weren't even thinking about, because they could have been anybody. They killed so many people last season that they could have really tied them to anybody. Like, she could have been Roger and Dodger's mom. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
mm-hmm.
So it was kind of cool just to see, like, out of all the characters they picked her to be related to, like, they picked Bean.
Mm-hmm.
So that was it. Like, and she was like one of the first murders too that like had really nothing to do with nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to remember because I have not rewatched season 1 since it originally aired. The Chanels went to jail because of Miss Bean's death, right?
Yes.
No. Like, remember, like, Chanel number 1 got put into, like, an orange jumpsuit, but then she got placed on bail, and then they completely, like, blamed Miss Bean's death on, like, the rest of the spring, like, the rest of the Hester's deaths, and, like, they never, like, they got acquitted.
No, that was afterwards. Like, remember they went to that little court period because she tried to send them to jail. Dean Munch, wasn't that for Bean's death?
Because, like, how would she know? Because I was trying to remember, like, is it publicly known that they killed Miss Bean? If not, how does she know?
Yeah, no, I think the first trial was Miss Bean's, but then somehow they tried to tie it to the Red Devil murders. And that's how they got bail. And then it all ended up getting blamed on Hester. But I think, like, you know, she wasn't stupid.
Okay. I can dig it.
I think that's how that went.
I can buy that.
Yeah, I can buy that.
Yeah, why not?
And then getting off.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I remember Munch tried to get rid of them, so...
She did, yeah. So, the next storyline that's related to the blood drive is in relation to Chanel, Munch, and Holt. And so Munch, continues to tease Chanel about her and Holt, and she attempts to break up Chanel and Holt by basically proving that Chanel has every diagnosable STD known to man, including sexual Ebola and vaginal Zika. You know what I'm saying?
Which I don't think really exists.
I know. That's what she said, which was fantastic. I'm like, really, girl?
No, that's exactly what she said.
Exactly. No, but I was like, really? Like, you don't think that they actually exist? Like, really? But I loved it. Like, they listed every STD, hepatitis A, B, and C. And it was fantastic. And
can we take a moment to ask for an apology from John Stamos, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Christy Allen for coming for the millennials trying to say that we're all dirty?
Oh, that was fantastic.
That was like the theme of like that episode. Like
it was the millennials are very loose sexually, and they don't care about condoms in a post AIDS world.
Oh, but I'm just gonna say PSA for all of you who are like stupid or who are like really like dumb in any other sort of way and are really naive. Don't use 3 condoms. What the fuck? Like,
that was like fantastic because he was like, I really want, I really want our first time to be good, but I don't mind wrapping on, 3 condoms, and eventually we can get down to 2, and then at some point we can get down to 1, which apparently that was like, romantic, I guess.
Oh my god, Chanel has such shitty romance, like. Aspirations.
She kind of shits on herself too.
She does. Like, actually, you're setting me up because I was about to say I have to give props to Emma Roberts because she gave herself probably like one of the worst put downs. Like, it's different when the dean says it to her, but when she said it about herself, she was like, I know that like touching this, it feels like a teenage boy, but when I take all these clothes off, I am pretty feminine. I'm like, okay,
right? I was dying. I was like, how could she just say that about herself right now? It's like, Emma Roberts, like, she's an awesome actress because I couldn't do it. I don't think I could.
I cracked up when she's like, I'm going to go with him and work on my daddy issues. Like, what the fuck? Oh my god.
Emma Roberts probably had the best, like, one-liners this episode. Like, hands down. Like, she was on her A game for this episode. She was like, we're revealing shit. Well, I'm still going to take the shine.
Yeah. I loved during that scene where she talks about the daddy issues, after Hoffel, like, says the contest and everyone gets all excited, like, the Chanels start jumping up and down, and Chanel number 3 and Chanel Oberlin start hugging, and then all of a sudden number 5 goes in for the hug, but Chanel, like, pushes her away. It was fantastic.
No, that was. I'm like, she really just shits on Chanel. And I was like, wait, I thought we were giving Chanel number 5 a chance now that we got these new bitches. And she was like, nah.
Yeah.
You gotta like admire how she lays it out on the line when she's like, "Oh, are you gonna give your prizes to like your other Chanel?" She's like, "No, they can screw themselves. I'm gonna go out to Blood Island with my boo thing."
Yeah.
And work on our daddy issues. Like, what? I don't need them.
But unfortunately, she can't go to Blood Island because, although it seemed as if Hoffel was in on the STD stuff, because of the STDs, Munch makes her, what do you want to call it, like unqualified to use her blood and all that kind of stuff. So all of a sudden, all the blood that she used can no longer, that she collected can no longer be used, and she can't win the Blood Island prize. But now Munch is in the lead. So she will be heading to Blood Island. And then there was this extended slow motion chase through the hospital in which Munch runs and Chanel is right behind her, and Munch, takes down the magnets that how much blood Chanel had collected. And then they get into this fight, and Chanel's on the floor, and Munch is like throwing the magnets in her face, and she's laughing at her.
It's Chanel throwing the back at her.
It was such a weird sequence, but it was so good.
Valkyries in the background?
Like,
what was it? Flight of the Valkyries in the background or something? Like that classical piece was like completely disjointed. Like it's this girl in black, like 6-inch heels running after like a dean who's a doctor and like crying while magnets are being thrown at her. Like
they're throwing patients and nurses out of the way. Like, you sometimes just have to question this hospital because they were just throwing patients out of their way. They were throwing nurses and doctors out of their way just for the magnet board. And I'm like, oh my God, like, priorities, people.
It was amazing.
This is a hospital still.
It was amazing.
But it was definitely a great scene. And I think the reason why Nurse Hoffel was in on the STD thing was because she was just never going to turn down the chance to, like, shit on the Chanel.
Exactly, but she wasn't down on Chanel being excluded from the competition.
Let's not punish her. Let's not punish her. We're being
exactly, yeah. That's too funny. And so after that, Chanel ends up, a couple things happen. Chanel ends up stealing blood from a blood drive, which was fantastic. And there she learns that if her blood is tested, like she wouldn't be able to donate blood if she had all these STDs. Like, she would get a call, and she ends up stealing all this blood, and then she realizes that her blood has been stolen because Hester is using it for the vampiric person, and they also there was a neat scene between Chamberlain and Hester, which I loved, because like Chamberlain, oh, you that girl Hester, like you were a killer and they had you locked you up, and then all of a sudden you're working here at the hospital, which I thought was fantastic.
He said what all of us as viewers were thinking, just kind of like, why are you here? Oh, yeah, okay. Slowly backs away, doesn't like approach the killer.
And he was going to toss out some of Chanel's personally donated blood, but after not having any blood, because the dean, after Hester stole the blood, and the dean was like, well, you need to find a different way to get the blood and that kind of stuff to cure this vampiric boy, she ends up stealing Chanel's blood that was going to get tossed into the swamp, because that's what they do with everything that is no longer needed.
I love how he tried to lie, and he was like, oh, I'm going to throw it in the medical waste disposal. And she's like, the swamp? He's like, yeah, the swamp.
Yes. And so she ends up taking Chanel's blood and giving it to the vampire boy. But, they were worried after getting caught again. They were worried that he was going to all of a sudden have every STD known to mankind. But Hester says that she tested the blood and it was clean. And so Chanel got all up in Munch's face about it, saying that she will pay for this. Then she jumps up and down because she's going to take the Chanels and Holt to Blood Island, and Hoffel comes in basically saying that Chanel won, and like she has the trophy and the tickets, but Chanel does not agree to go in like business class. She wanted a chartered plane. And so she basically is like, thanks for the prize, but no thank you. I'll take the cash equivalent. And Hoffa's like, I spent all my money on this. And she's like, yeah, well, you should have read the fine print. And you'll be hearing from my lawyer, basically. So there's that. There's a missing element that we'll discuss in a moment with that big reveal. But just overall, any final thoughts on the Chanel Holt Munch storyline?
I'm looking forward to Munch using not Munch, to Hoffel using more of the leverage that she has on Munch, because I liked their scenes last episode, and I didn't feel like they got as much this one.
I feel like it's one of those let's see who's gonna come out on top type situations. But at the end of the day, if anybody survives, it's going to be Munch and Chanel, because their feud's just been going on for years. I see maybe Hoffel getting killed by the other Green Meanie.
Well, damn.
Because remember the last time the Red Devil did turn on each other at some point.
She's a badass bitch, though. Comparatively, if I had to put bets on who could outlast who could kill who, I would place my bet solidly on her character as opposed to Taylor Lautner's character. He seems kind of like a pushover. And when she said, "Let me be the brains of this operation,"
in general, the whole big picture of
You mean by the end of the season?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, by the end of the season.
When we
I
play
hope
all counterparts, all killer in equation, remember, when the Red Devils all started to team up together, it kind of was you know what, there's too many.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope that out of the new season 2 people, that if there is a hypothetical season 3, I hope that Kirstie Alley continues on, in some way, shape, or form. I hope.
I would definitely prefer her. I think at this point, Nick Screamy is kind of wearing his greeting. I'm kind of over him now.
Oh wow.
I feel like the whole the demeanor of just not giving a shit of being really cold is Chanel number 3's bag, and she's been good at it since season 1. And I think the joke that he was on Twilight and now he's sort of a vampire but not really, that joke played itself out in one episode, and it was funny. But you need to give me more. You need to make me expect more from it. We already got a sort of Red Devil last season that had I'm gay but I'm not, with Boone, and then that was the joke that was really funny for one episode, and then he died. That was it. That's all we got of him, and I don't want to see that with Dr. Cassidy.
Let's get into the meat and potatoes of the episode. The big reveal, which is actually led up to by a small storyline. We focus on one of the new Chanel number 9, and Chanel Oberlin, during the competition, the blood drive, she's getting all of the Chanels to donate blood, double and triple and quadruple from Chanel number 5, and she tries to get Chanel number 9's blood, and she thought that it would be easy because she's a goth, and I guess goths are used to needles. And unfortunately for Chanel Oberlin, Chanel number 9 is deathly afraid of needles. And so she's like, no, and she rushes out of the room. And so later on...
See when it turned into a sword?
Oh yeah, that was a giant needle.
Yeah.
Later on, Chanel number 9 comes back, and Chanel's like, I'm going to go with our, code of conduct, and, you have to do it because you have to support a sister and all this kind of stuff. And number 9's like, we're not in a sorority. I am here to learn medicine, and I want to save lives and all this kind of stuff. And so she ends up getting convinced to donate the blood. And so, in a creepy part of the hospital, because I guess this is where this kind of stuff ends up happening, Chanel straps in number 9. And the reason is because number 9 is afraid of needles, and she's not going to be able to find a vein and all this kind of stuff. And so while number 9 is getting freaked out about the needle, Chanel ends up and starts, taking out the blood, and number 9 is like, oh my gosh. And Chanel's like, hey, I'm an expert phlebotomist. And number 9 is like, I thank you so much, Chanel, for helping me get rid of my fear of needles. And so while that's going on, she pulls a Zayday and ends up leaving number 9 to donate the blood when she sees Dr. Holt. And she ends up going over to Dr. Holt, and while she ends up having a conversation with Holt, we see the green meanie enter the room, and he ends up putting some, what was that, gauze in her mouth to like muffle the screaming.
Yeah,
Which I thought
surgical
she was
gauze.
stupid for not spitting out. I'm like, if you had spit that out and continued screaming, you still might be alive.
Well,
right
there
now.
you go. And so the green meanie is preparing number 9 for something, and he gets interrupted by Nurse Hoffel. And Hoffel is basically like, I'm here to talk with you. And she's like, take off that mask. She's going to be dead anyway, so she's not going to be able to identify you. Let me see who you
I
are.
thought was stupid. Which I thought was stupid. He revealed himself way too quick. Like, just because you're talking to me and you're saying you don't want to stop me, like, I'm going to reveal my identity. Like, I thought that was kind of, like,
I can't,
far.
like, Boone revealed himself, like, season 1 as the Red Devil real quick. So it just follows the show's trend.
True, but I look at it like this. Like, if I'm the green meanie and Priscilla came up into the room and I'm about to kill, like, Jeffrey, all right. Like,
Oh, wow.
and you're like, oh, I'm just saying, like, because we're the 3 people here. So,
Oh, okay.
all right.
Well,
And, Priscilla's like, well, I'm not going to stop you. I'm going to let you kill him. But, like, you know what? You should tell me who you are. I'm going to be like, yo, bitch, like, no. But I'm going to kill him.
but you know what?
I'm
Maybe
glad
it was
I'm
almost
glad
like
I'm
props type of thing, because she was not scared. Like, she had, like, big-ass balls to, like, go into that room and be like, hey, who are you, basically? I need to know.
Well, true, but I'm going to tell you right now.
She was like a boss
if I-
bitch, to be quite honest.
That's true. But I feel like if I walked up in a room and somebody's about to kill somebody, I'm going to be like, yo, like, I'll let you do you. Just let me go back out. Like, I ain't, you know what I mean? I ain't going to show you I'm scared. Like, but I'm probably like, my heart's probably pounding. I'm probably shook as fuck. But I'm going to be like, listen.
Well, that's because Hoffel is a
you.
boss with the S's replaced with the dollar signs.
True.
And not, like, no Tina
Michelle
shade, but,
Obama.
like, freaking Prince has balls, and Dr. Cassidy doesn't seem like he has anything. Like, he just kind of wimped out.
That's true.
One other sort of storyline, just to wrap things up in the episode, is Dr. Holt. So, after, like, everything that happens with the Green Meanie reveal, because of Zayday's sort of, like, thirst to find the blood type of the baby in the belly, Cassidy ends up switching his blood type with somebody else, and that somebody else is Dr. Holt. And so Holt gets called into Munch's office with everyone else there, and basically he gets accused of being the baby in the belly, and he has to be the Green Meanie, and so he gets fired, even though he's like, I'm not 30, so how am I the baby in the belly? And, they keep on sort of like, coming up with reasons, like maybe you were a lifeguard, you got all this sun damage, or maybe you had a really hard life, and that's why you look older than 30, and he keeps on saying, I take the compliment, y'all think I look 30, but I'm not 30, and this, that, or the other, and so he ends up, after like the final nail, like basically like you're fired, he ends up, with his serial killer hand, punching down on the glass table, and, bleeding, and he's like, I'm going to make you all pay for this. So, Any thoughts on this? My opinion is because they like focused that he was bleeding, that
Yeah.
someone is gonna get the idea to like test that blood.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. Although,
It was
like,
just
it
so,
might
like-
just be like murder hand with like bleeding all around the hand. Like, it looks good for effect, like for TV. But you're more than likely right. Like, they're gonna
No,
test
I feel like
that.
because it's like Detective Zayday on the case that like she's gonna be like, you know
Yes,
what?
Nancy Drew.
Right? Like, let me Nancy Drew this shit. Let me grab his blood real quick. Plus, she wants to be the doctor, so.
I really hope though that they get that blood type, because like getting transfused with a different blood type has a real high potential to like hurt you or kill you. And so like they switched from A to O. Someone's gonna die having that blood.
Oh, that's too
I
funny.
know.
This hospital doesn't run the way it should. I'm just gonna like suspend my disbelief for everything now.
So, as we've been discussing, the reveal is that once the green meanie mask has been taken off, it is Dr. Cassidy Cascade, and then we get a whole lot of information in this really interesting conversation between Hoffel and Cascade, and basically these were like the bullet points of their conversation. The first thing is Hoffel is like, you know what, I respect what you're doing, but let's make a deal. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. Leave the Chanels for me. I want to make them pay. Number two, of the operation, and Cassidy's like, what? And she's like, yeah, like, aren't you trying to take down the hospital, but you're killing the patients? And then she says everything that we have been saying since day one. You know, if you want to shut the hospital down, you should go after the staff, the doctors, the freaking head of the hospital. Why are you going after the patients? And then we get confirmation from Cassidy that he's scared of Zayday, which I loved. I thought that was fantastic. And then
Aren't they all though?
I know, right? And then we also get confirmation on there being another green meanie, because Cassidy is like, oh, so it's you that's been killing all the other patients. And she's like, what are you talking about? I haven't killed anybody up until this moment, because she's helping exsanguinate number 9. And he's like, well, I didn't kill all the people that have died thus far. So there's somebody else out there doing the killings.
Bum, bum, bum.
Exactly. And so
Well,
Mhm.
at least we know for certain that one of the green meanies was Cascade when he was killing off that girl that had like spontaneous orgasms, but like he backed off of Zayday. Now it explains why, because she scares him.
Ah, that's good thinking. I like it.
Oh,
And
that's
yeah, I
great.
love that he also, in his defense, he was like, I've tried to kill them, but they fight back basically. So that means that
Yeah,
he
so
was
he's the
probably
weaker
also the
one.
one that fought Munch.
Oh yeah, or maybe Denise when she fought back the first time.
Oh yeah, that was good too. So because of number 9's blood and getting exsanguinated and all this kind of stuff, that's what helps Chanel go over in the blood drive, and that's where she wins. But then she ends up not wanting the prize and blah blah blah. So after that, Hoffel is in a bit of a disarray. She's frustrated by what's going on. She's popping pills. But Cascade ends up bringing her a gift that brings a smile to her eyes. Her very own green meanie headdress and costume with a cape and everything. And so they both end up dressing up as the green meanie together, and they decide to traipse through the creepy parts of the hospital together, I guess, looking for a new victim.
Green is my color. Like, oh my god.
Yes.
Yeah, you still
Right.
got it. You're still gorgeous. Oh my god.
I
That
love
was
that.
nice.
It was fantastic. So, any final thoughts on Cascade and Hoffle? A Hoffle combination?
You think one of the Chanels is gonna die now that like Hoffle and Cassidy Cascade are like teaming up?
Everyone should be worried now. I'm even worried for
You would
Zayday
think-
now.
I'm like, you would think, but I'm like, in the end of the day, I'm like, you never know how they're gonna play that out, because in the end of the day, like, I feel like if one of the Chanels leaves, it would kind of leave the Chanels incomplete. Like, them three kind of go hand in hand at this point.
Mm-hmm.
They do, but maybe this time one of the deaths for Chanel number 5 will stick.
Well, I think that's why all the other extra Chanels were added to save the original three
Aw.
Chanel.
My
And if any
MVP of
Chanel
last.
dies, I think it might be Hester,
Oh.
number 6.
I would fucking love that, but no, that could never happen. Or fuck, like, I hope the show does this.
Well,
Please surprise me.
Yeah, I think we are going to get some surprises.
We're going to kill off number 6 so Leah and Michelle can do American Horror Story 7.
Well, there you go.
You're already
She's the new
jumping your
Supreme.
ship to the next
Yeah,
American Horror Story.
I'm just, getting a Kickstarter for them, Remember, guys, I helped you. Ryan
Yeah,
Murphy,
he's
I want that
giving
check.
her a new job.
Cut me that check.
It's called job security.
Right? I want that coin. Cut me that check.
Oh, gosh.
You're gonna see
Michelle, I want 10%.
You're gonna see Emma Roberts on American Crime. They're just
Whoa,
gonna start
she's-
bouncing everybody around
They
everywhere.
really are. They're just gonna be like, we have them on contract. Let's just throw them around.
Yeah. So let's talk about the MVP, the most valuable player, the character that impressed you the most, and why. Yeah. You know the rules. If someone mentions someone, you have to pick a different character. We will start off with Priscilla.
Okay, again, I mentioned that like I'm really like TV naive, so I don't think it's Chamberlain. That's the green meanie.
No, your MVP.
Oh, sorry. Like
It's okay.
I was like, huh. All right, that gives me more time to think of it. Like again, I think yes. I'm so glad I got to pick first. Then my MVP is Hester. God, her like making fun of that like guy with porphyria like made my day. Like not that Chanel with her riddled STD body like wasn't funny, and that like musical
Riddled
like
STD body.
like and that musical number with her running like was the best part of that episode. But I think Hester was consistently good, and I'm giving her the MVP because I haven't seen her in a while like take it or like do anything besides kind of just be foreboding in the shadows. So to see like Leah Michelle like shine was well like worth like any minutes that you waste watching TV. Like this was not a waste of time. This is great.
Prince, your MVP.
I'm gonna go with Priscilla's favorite, number 5, because like, she was just hilarious. Like, they just really don't care about her, and they just like treat her like shit. And this episode just proved how much they just don't care, because they were draining the hell out of that girl. And it was like, yeah, new blood just comes every now, and they're like, no, you're only supposed to drain like 10. I think at that team from her. So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
She
go-
played weak very well.
She plays weak very well. Not she played.
Yes.
She played.
Oh, gosh.
Every episode. But
It's like
yes,
Little Miss Sunshine gets treated like shit, but it's
real talk.
worth it.
Aw.
But
Yeah, it's fantastic.
yeah, no, I'm gonna give it a Chanel number 5. She kept me quite entertained the way she was getting bullied, and she was just taking it per usual. She even took it from Chanel number, what was it? 7.
Oh, that was so good.
She was
When
like,
she was like, "Can I have a piece of your sandwich?" She's like, "No."
No.
And Chanel's like, "Get it, Marfan."
Yeah, that shit was hilarious. I'm like, even the new Chanel's learning to just bully her.
It's fantastic.
At the very
So-
least, they remember what the hell her name is, because she's like, after a while, the other Chanel's just kind of run in numbers. I don't know who died.
Right.
Oh, that was so good. They were like, I don't know, it was like 9, 10, 11, one of
Right.
them.
She's like, yeah, real talk. But she knows Marfan's name, which is like the most hilarious. She's like, you're the golf girl. You're the face girl. Marfan. It's like, that's like gonna be. Maybe Marfan will replace.
Well, that's not her name. That's
Oh.
the name of her disease.
I love it even more. I thought that was her name.
Yes. That's Good grief. So my MVP for the episode is, I mean, I gotta go with her. I am Hoffel, or I should say I am Bean, Nurse Hoffel. She was fantastic. Learning more about her was awesome. Her inner monologue was amazing. Like, the only thing that would have taken it over the top for me was if they did that sound effect when she shows up. They don't do it every episode that she's in, but they do it almost like every other episode. If they did that little screech there, like when she showed up, that would have taken it over the top. I loved everything that they're doing with Kirstie Alley in this season, and in this episode she was a standout. And then at the end, when she was touched by Cassidy Cascade bringing her own Green Meanie costume, she was just freaking adorable. So Nurse Hoffel, you are my MVP. So now we got to get into the big question of the season on this podcast. And we have to change the ground rules just a teeny tiny bit. So, we know for sure Dr. Cassidy Cascade is a Green Meanie.
Ooh.
Now, for the past few weeks, we've done a really good job some of us have done a good job at guessing that he was going to be a Green Meanie. We've also done a really great job at foreshadowing the fact that Nurse Hoffel is a Green Meanie, because as of this episode, Nurse Hoffel is now a Green Meanie. She wasn't before, but she is now. And even though we had maybe our own theories as to why she was going to be connected to the Green Meanie persona and like being a Green Meanie, obviously that has changed now that we've gotten more information. But we did foreshadow her becoming a Green Meanie. So that means that there is one Green Meanie out there who's also killing. So now the big question is, and you only get one guess now, who is that additional Green Meanie? Who's the third Green Meanie? And since she may need a little bit more time to think, we'll start off with Prince, who I feel has a theory on the tip of his tongue.
We already know it is Chamberlain. I already kind of told you guys ahead of time. But if you put it in perspective, let's look at it, right? Dr. McScreamy was with freaking Chanel, so it couldn't be him. Zayde's trying to figure it out. We already know the other two. So who was left to kill? Oh, wait, no. Number 9 was killed by the other two. Never mind. You got that. But still, I think it's Chamberlain. I got my own reason.
Okay.
He's suspect. He knows everything. He's like, I still don't understand how he just walked in and he still has that job. And they know that he just walked in. He knows everything that's going on. He covered his track because he just said what blood type he had. He never really answered the question. He never really got his blood taken to figure that out. He's a mystery, but he knows everything. That's suspect.
Okay.
Go.
Priscilla,
Okay, so
share with us who is the Green Meanie, Priscilla? I know you know.
I've had like this Detective Zayde hat on, trying to like sort through the facts. Bearing in mind that
You were eating some Oakland nachos too?
yes, I was with the
Ooh,
red devil
yummy.
costume on, just for old time's sake. But I don't know. I'm going through the list of suspects, and I'm like, okay, the Chanels obviously aren't it, because they're never it, like, as fun as it would be. Zayde's too invested in, like, investigating this to be the one. The dean is more worried about, like, the hospital and what it looks like and her dying, so it wouldn't make sense to be her. We've already gotten rid of, like, Hoffel and Cassidy as like confirmed Green Meanies. So there's only like 2 other people that we've really like zeroed in on, and it's Chamberlain and Dr. Holt. And I can't really believe that it's Dr. Holt. So as much as like
Join the dark side.
yeah, as much as I
Welcome.
think that like he had like a really good argument for not being the baby in the bathtub, like not baby in the bath, the baby in the belly.
Yes.
He's got other reasons for being real pissed off at the hospital system, probably because he doesn't have a legitimate job and he's a candy striper. So it's Chamberlain.
Okay. See, I'm going in the different direction. Here's my guess for the additional Green Meanie, because obviously this Green Meanie is not the baby in the belly, because we know who the baby in the belly is. Here's my theory, and to be quite honest, and I didn't think that I was going to mention this theory again, because I thought last week was just going to be a one-off thing, and then we were going to be proved wrong and all this kind of thing, but now I'm kind of believing my crazy, kooky theory. So, I think it's Dr. Holt, and it could be for two different reasons. Number one, we're forgetting the fact that there was a massacre in 1985. I feel like the killer now has to be the person that did the massacre. Or it wasn't 1985, it was 1986. It was the year after the guy died in 1985, right? So the massacre would have been in 1986. So there has to be a connection. So I feel like the person that killed in the 80s is the same person that's killing now. So for me, that means that it can't be Chamberlain, because obviously he's not old enough. And there aren't that many cast members that would have been like at least 20-ish in the 80s. I mean, there's Hoffel, but she's now a Green Meanie. There's the Dean, but it can't be the Dean. Like, it just doesn't make any sense why she would have massacred people in the 80s. So I feel like it has to be Holt. And my theory is either he is the father of the baby in the belly. Like, you know, this is Scream Queens. Like, crazier shit has happened. You know, he was dipped in that, chemicalized swamp. Maybe his entire skin fell off or something, peeled off. That's how he lost his hand. He had to do complete facial body reconstructive surgery, and he has been planning on his revenge against the hospital ever since then. And obviously the hospital was shut down, and so when it was reopened, he came back to make sure it was shut down forever. That would explain the fake Harvard tattoo that isn't really Harvard. It would explain a lot of things. It wouldn't explain why he's banging Chanel or the Dean, or why he wanted to bang Hoffel. I love that line. Like, we didn't really discuss it, but like that whole thing, like, oh, I regret not having sex with you when you first joined the team.
It wasn't
I
even
forget
I regret
introducing myself
having sex.
properly.
It wasn't even I regret having sex with you. It was, gosh, like, I'm sorry I didn't like include you into this team by automatically having sex with you. Like,
yes, but I love how she was like, no thank you, I'm here for business. I'm like, okay, get it, Hoffel.
I know, like, to just dismiss him so quickly, like, damn.
The only thing I can
It was
say
fantastic.
is to,
So, either he is the father, and obviously, I don't know if Cassidy knows. I don't know if the wife knows. Like, I feel like the wife doesn't know anything about anything. I don't even feel like she really knows what Cassidy is doing. So, either he's the father, or he's maybe the hand is slowly taken over, and that's why he was killing, without really having a reason to kill, in a sense. But I feel like it has to be that he's the father. Like, this is in a hospital, so it would be a very general hospital type of thing, soap opera-y twist, where, it's him with a new face and that kind of stuff, and he's here for revenge. So I kind of have to go with that.
Okay, that would be interesting.
Okay, if I was to play on your answer, this is what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why it could be is because the whole how Denise got caught. Well, the whole throw the punch and then shocker. It seems like a doctory thing to know.
Mm-hmm.
But I would feel as he wouldn't be the father. I feel like it would be the hand taking over, because you saw him playing roulette with his hand. He was like, I have to show it that I'm still in control. Maybe every now and then it takes control.
Mm-hmm. Which I can buy that. The only reason I'm still thinking he's the father, it's because they need to explain how that massacre happened in the 80s. Like, I feel like that's not going to be a loose thread that they're going to
like it was
leave
the
open.
Mom, and she passed it down to.
I can't see her because remember she picked well, I don't want to say she, but like the green meanie picked up Dr. Mike like with the machete like in him. Like Dr. Mike was like hanging over the green meanie's head, and the green meanie is tall. The green meanie isn't short, and she's not even tall for a woman. Like no offense to the actress. Like she's not a tall lady. So I I don't know. Maybe they might end up having it be the mom and maybe her passing it down. Although right now I can't see it happening, especially since they're making her seem almost, which maybe they're doing it on purpose, like as if she doesn't know anything about what's going on as far as Cassidy's revenge plot.
I just gotta
but
say,
it could be her.
You brought up the tattoo, and it's true. They zoomed in on it, and I remember Prince saying in another episode, like that's not the Harvard tattoo, that's not the Harvard logo. So why would the camera have panned to it and kept to it for like a couple of seconds? You might be onto something. You might be right.
Yeah. And if you think about it, I mean, he, like, the father wasn't, like, his skin tone was not very dark. Like, he was maybe, like, a little bit of a shade darker than John Stamos' skin tone. And so that maybe, with the chemicals in the swamp, and all that kind of stuff, it, did something to his face or something. So he had to get reconstructive surgery, and then bam.
Maybe.
Like pulling a I switched races cards is intense, but
yeah, that's why I'm like.
Well, technically, it wouldn't be switched races. I mean, it would just be like the fake facial reconstruction. So that's how his face ended up turning out.
We'll see. I don't know.
Like we'll see. That's the only thing that's got like. I think he might just be killing for another reason apart from like I
think the hand takes over.
Like, yeah,
it could be. Like I don't mind that theory too, because that's sort of like my or. Like either the hand's taken over or he is the father. But I feel like he has to be the killer. Yeah. Like it just makes the most sense. But I hope that he is the father because it'll tie it in. If not, they probably will say that it was the mother that killed. But I don't fully buy it. But it's a Scream Queens universe, so I guess we'll have to buy it.
When did he get the transplant on the hand?
Well, because I don't feel like any of that story was real. That he said that he stuck it in the garbage disposal and all that kind of stuff.
Well, true.
I'm gonna say that like in my opinion, if I'm going with him being the father, maybe when he got out of the swamp, his hand was dissolved or something, and that's why he got the hand transplant.
Well, no, the hand transplant's a known fact because Chad brought it up. Chad
Radwell.
Yeah, Chad. Remember he paid the PI to figure out that.
Correct.
So
but he could have faked
was like legitimate. It was the
yeah, no, but he could have faked documents and stuff because obviously, if his name is not Brock Holt, like he would have to have created a paper trail, much like Cassidy Cascade is not his name either.
Well, you think he would do it that deep to even create the story about the serial killer tennis player? The Craigslist?
Well, no, maybe his hand is actually from a serial killer. I can buy that.
So, yeah, we already know the hand has the whole idol thing to it. You don't think it... maybe if he got the surgery in the 80s to get that hand, maybe he couldn't control it when he first got it, and that's how the first massacre happened.
Maybe.
If we're going to rock with, him being the killer, And then now that he's I think maybe that's why they did that whole him trying to show he has control when Chanel walks in and he's playing like with the knife and he's like, I got to show it that I'm in control still. Maybe it's like he has the moment of relapses where the hand just takes over and he's not strong enough to keep it in control.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out soon. I am suspicious of Chamberlain, don't get me wrong. Like, him knowing the hospital and sneaking around is very suspicious. So, I kind of feel like one of us is right. It's either Holt or it's Chamberlain.
Absolutely. I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah, I don't think it's anybody else. Like, I don't think they're gonna do like it's Zayday or it's
They're gonna pull a Scooby Doo and Mr. Wilson, or just like some random ass
Yes.
person, some random paint out of
it's
nowhere.
Denise.
It's gonna be Feeny.
Oh gosh,
Graffiti, yes.
it's Denise. She defrosted herself
Right? It was her whole plan all along for them killing Chad.
all along, and she'd get away with it too if it
It
wasn't
wasn't
for
for
us
the-
meddling
right?
kids. It's too funny. All right, so on that note, join us next time for a brand new installment of Are You Afraid, Scream Queens? Once again, here's our announcer to remind you on how you can interact with us.
Follow Poppy Chulo Radio on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Poppy Chulo Radio. Do you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns? Email us via contact@poppychuloradio.com. Are you interested in joining the Poppy Chulo Radio team as an on-air personality? Email talent@poppychuloradio.com. Binge listen to your favorite Poppy Chulo Radio programs by visiting poppychuloradio.com/archives. You can also download tonight's broadcast and the rest of the series through iTunes. Just search for Are You Afraid? Scream Queens, and subscribe.
Thanks, announcer. Co-hosts, please wish listeners a good night and a happy Thanksgiving.
Good night.
night.
Happy Thanksgiving. Gobble, gobble, gobble.
Happy Thanksgiving and especially happy Black Friday. Be safe, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in. Download new episodes of Are You Afraid, Scream Queens every Thursday via iTunes and the Poppy Chulo Radio archives. New episodes stream via poppychuloradio.com every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Good night and happy Thanksgiving.